Hello, everyone. This is Judah Phillips from Squark, and I'm here to provide a system overview and deep dive. How does Squark deliver such amazing and accurate predictions so quickly? We use supervised machine learning. Supervised machine learning is where your historic labeled data, your data from the past, is used to build a set of models, surfacing the best model that we can then apply to new data in order to generate predictions. In other words, with supervised machine learning, we learn from your past data to predict what's going to happen on your new data in the future. We do this by supporting 4 different supervised machine learning model classes: binary classification, multi-class classification, regression, and time series forecasting. Binary classification enables us to predict the probability of an entity in 2 classes. For example, you may want to know which of your customers will churn or not. With Squark, it's very simple to build a churn model. You take your historic customer data, where you have customers who have churned or not, and you upload that to Squark, and we very quickly build a model that predicts for your new data which customers will churn. This is an excellent example of a binary classifier. Another example of a binary classifier may be predicting which of your contacts are to become marketing qualified leads. We learn from your historic contact data to determine which ones have become marketing qualified leads, and we use the model we create to identify which new contacts have the highest probability to become marketing qualified leads. Again, another example of a binary classification. Multi-class classification is where we're predicting an entity across 3 or more classes. For example, you may have historic segments or personae on your website, and you may have them labeled in your customer data. We can learn from those historic segment and personae labels and very quickly build a model that can be applied to new data to predict the segments and personae for your new customers in that new data. You may want to predict which of your customers might be high, medium, or low lifetime value. If you have those labels, we can very quickly learn from them and build a model that will identify which of your new customers are likely to be high, medium, or low lifetime value. You may have 10 different offers that you sent out to your customers, and you have response data. We can learn from the response data and then predict which of those 10 offers are most likely to be responded to by new customers and the probability of those customers to respond to the other 9 offers. All of those are examples of multi-class classification. Regression is, of course, where you're predicting the next period value of a continuous variable, an integer or a real number. You may want to predict how many visits will we get next month? What price should I charge? How many clicks will I get on a particular ad? Regression allows you to use both categorical or enumerated variables as well as numeric variables and dates to produce that next period value prediction. Time series forecasting is similar to regression in the sense that it predicts a value, but instead of predicting just one value in the next period, our time series forecasting capability predicts values across n periods that you specify. For example, if you were looking to determine how many customers or how much sales you might generate on a day-to-day basis, we can learn from your past year's worth of data, and you could specify 365, and we would tell you those predictive values for customers and revenue for the next 365 days. We support different data types as well. Fundamentally, Squark ingests structured data, and we'll talk about that in another video. But that structured data can have unstructured fields, right, within it. And our natural language processing capability allows us to handle those unstructured fields and create predictive value from them. We'll talk about that a little later today. And of course, time series data means we handle time, right, dates. Depending on which model class or predictive outcome you're aiming for. With regression and multi-class and binary classification, we do date factoring. Well, we'll break the date into its constituent parts. For example, if we see a date January 1st, 2020, we might break it into the month of January, the day of the week that January 1st was, the number of the day in the month itself, as well as the year. So date factorization enables Squark to use dates as features for prediction. Whereas in our time series forecasting, we incorporate seasonality and auto regression using Sarima and Arima and some other both open source and proprietary algorithms that allow us to forecast across those end periods you specify. Squark's processing can occur in batch or real time. The Squark process is a 4-step process where we connect, learn, model, and act. The first step is connecting to your data. Fundamentally, Squark can connect to any data source in any system on Earth. At the most primitive and core level, Squark ingests UTF-8 CSV. So if your data can be converted to UTF-8 encoded CSV, then we can ingest it into Squark. Here's some examples of sources that Squark can support. Once we connect to these sources, we authenticate using whatever authentication protocol is necessary. We then authorize access to the data within that source, and we connect to it, which allows us to bring the data to Squark through a data detailing and ingestion process. We do data preparation in Squark. However, the data preparation we do is specific to fitting your data to the different algorithms that underlie our system. These algorithms include trees and ensembles and deep learners and general linear models, gradient boosters, Arimas and Sarimas, and much more. The data preparation that we do may include binning and flattening the data. It may include imputation and transformation. We will automatically balance the classes for you in the sense when you have more of one type of class than another. We do feature engineering. That allows us to create new data from the relationships within your data. We could use dummy variables and other approaches to feature engineering. For example, say you have a column that is all job titles and there's 50 different job titles. Well, Squark would create new columns for all those 50 different job titles, creating 50 new features within your data for prediction. Feature engineering and its automation is a very powerful proprietary capability within Squark. We also do feature selection. This is where, say you have uploaded a set of data with 1,000 columns. Well, maybe only 5 of those columns are relevant, meaning the rest are spuriously correlated or there's a lot of multicollinearity. Well, Squark will detect that and will reduce those features down to the constituent few that are most predictive. In fact, Squark can do both feature engineering and feature selection. And what I mean by that is we may take 10 columns, expand them to 100, and reduce them down to 3, where those 3 are engineered columns, or maybe 2 are, and 1 is one of the original columns. So this type of data prep and data detailing process that's proprietary to Squark is pretty unique in the industry and is something that really helps the data sing once we reach the modeling stage. In the modeling stage, what we do is now we've created all this training data that fits the different algorithms with our different feature engineering and other proprietary innovations applied to it. What we do at that point is we hold out 20 to 30% of that data and we put it on a shelf. We don't use it. That's called your test data set, your validation data set. We do that automatically. And then we start to iterate models across the different algorithms within Squark. We may build 1,000 models, 10,000 models, depending on how long the system runs. Each model we build, we compare it to that test set, that 20 to 30% of the historic data we held out. We compare each model's predictions to what we know already happened in that test, that holdout data set. And that allows us to see how accurate the model is for your data. And we do this, as I mentioned, across lots of algorithms and lots of instances of those models, and we surface the best model for your data. Again, this is dynamic for every data set that you upload. These aren't static models. These are created unique to your data every time you run. And then once we figure out which model is best, we select it and we automatically run the predictions for you on your data. This allows us to get the results, the predictions, which you can then export. You can integrate to other systems for our business and marketing automation, or you can view our very powerful model explanation capabilities that allow us to tell you some of the reasons why the decisioning in the prediction is occurring. This includes identifying which variables are most important, as well as other model explainability capabilities like partial dependency plots. At the end of the day, Squark is a clicks not code system. We've taken the complexity of what would have been a hand-coded exercise across many moons by many different people, and we've abstracted it down to its powerful automation in minutes. In other words, there is no way that you could give your data science team a data set and tell them to code 1,000 models in a couple minutes, validate and cross-validate them all, balancing the classes, doing the feature engineering, doing the early stopping, the back propagation, all the best practices within data science that you would expect from your highly trained PhDs, and produce the accurate output that you can then send to other systems within minutes. It just can't be done. Hands down. Clicks not code. Squark enables this predictive automation in a powerful way that is new and unique and applicable to really any business question and any data that you have across your business. Squark uses two different files to power this process. The training and production data. We learned from your historic data in supervised machine learning. That's called your training data set. It's a data set that has known outcomes. It's structured data. Each row is an individual record, and each column is an attribute. It's called a feature. You select one column that's a dependent variable, and you select other columns that are independent variables. Or you just take our automated selections and click next 3 times, and we do it all for you. Squark's machine learning sees the data relationships, as I described, and then applies the learning to predict on that new production data. Then you can distribute the data. Squark is about moving from your raw data to insights to action very quickly, literally within an hour. So you can action Squark's results. It's flexible and nimble enough where you can ingest new data, change your prediction by changing your target, change your predictors, and you can be flexible and nimble to create the predictive business automations that you need to drive revenue, to reduce your costs across the MarkTech ecosystem and across your business. Actions always beat insights. With Squark, you connect, learn, model, and act. And you can do things like customer response modeling, propensity modeling. We can do multi-touch attribution in ways that you've never seen before. Lead scoring, conversion optimization, churn prediction, ad effectiveness, cross-sell, upsell, risk mitigation, success prediction, campaign optimization, media mix, predicting on your CRM data, account-based management, recommendations, sales forecasting, net promoter score, customer satisfaction, revenue forecasting. All of these use cases can be delivered in Squark in minutes using the data you have, using the resources you have, using the time you have right now to make highly accurate, business relevant decisions from the insights in your data that you can action. Squark is the solution. We put machine learning in the hands of analysts and consultants. It's a predictive capability for all analysts and teams that augments human decision-making with a fast velocity that allows you to get to those ROIs that you've been seeking for a prediction, but you haven't been able to get to. We've also scaled this system so you don't have to worry about all the underlying plumbing. You literally take your data, load it to Squark, get the predictions, and automate things, make decisions. It's production ready. It scales. We have Fortune 10 companies using this. It's a data science team built in. It's a new, proprietary, and extremely powerful way to create prediction in your business, to put prediction at the center of your business. Squark is transformative automated machine learning. Our data science chops quickly turn your data into models right in the same spreadsheet, according to Forrester. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for joining today.